Hey guys, welcome back to I'm Just a Fan. It's your host Ben, and today we're going to be talking about how much does Super Bowl 59 impact Patrick Mahomes' legacy. Let's get into it. Before we start this video, I just want to say if anyone is watching this, can you please give this video a like? Feel free to drop your thoughts down below, and if you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. This stuff really goes a long way for me, and just wanted to get that out before we start the video. So does Patrick Mahomes' performance in Super Bowl 59 impact his legacy long term? I feel like there's two ways you can really look at this. Obviously, yes and no. First, let's dive into the no. What people would be saying if they were defending Patrick Mahomes is, number one, he didn't really have the support in this game. He was getting killed up front. Now, obviously, the Eagles were doing a very good job of giving him some looks that he wasn't loving. They played some great coverage in the back end on those Chiefs receivers. Guys weren't getting open. But Patrick's O-line was just really letting him down, specifically within the edge rushers. They were really getting to those tackles of the Kansas City Chiefs. They were really suffocating him in that pocket. Also, he had a lot of key drops. Kelce had, I think, one or two, if I can remember correctly. DeAndre Hopkins had a brutal drop on that third down. That would have been one of the few positive plays that Kansas City would have had in the Super Bowl. And I know there was at least a couple more plays down the stretch where guys were just kind of letting him down. And I can understand why people would be defending that, because all that stuff is really out of it's out of his control. Even his second interception, yes, he still did throw the interception, but at the same time, if you watch it back, pressure was coming, and really, I think an offensive lineman, if I remember correctly, actually stepped on his foot and directly impacted the throw. So I can understand why people would say that, hey, look, Patrick didn't play his greatest game, but when you look at everything around him, guys just didn't show up. Guys weren't catching passes, guys weren't blocking. There was a lot of things that really weren't going his way. Another comment that defends Patrick is, and this is more related to the GOAT conversation, is Brady never was perfect in the Super Bowl either. Yes, he won 7, but he lost 3. And right now, Patrick is 3-2 in the Super Bowl. And, that's something that not even the GOAT himself can say that he's been perfect in the Super Bowl. He can't say that. And he's lost a few Super Bowls. He's technically lost more than Mahomes. Now, of course, that doesn't really matter because he's number one, won more than Mahomes, but also he's just been in more Super Bowls than Patrick. But I can understand why someone would be there to defend him, because again, it was more of just the fact that, hey, look, even the best players in this sport have not been able to have a perfect record or even come close to a perfect record. Now, obviously, Patrick had already had a Super Bowl loss heading into this game, but I can see why people would be saying that. And last point would just be that overall, the Chiefs just did not play great team ball. They pretty much got outworked in every single facet of the game. Again, offense, as I touched on, they didn't show up. The Eagles were just absolutely killing the Chiefs' defense. The Chiefs did a great job of, playing Barkley very well, but other than that, the Eagles killed him in the run game with the quarterback run, and the Eagles killed him in the pass game. And it really was just Kansas City not showing up. The entire team, in my opinion, really did not play great. So that's the last thing that I could say people really defending Mahomes on. Now let's dive into the reasons of why this actually may impact Patrick Mahomes' legacy. First, and this is something Brady can't say he's done, Brady has never been blown out in a Super Bowl, let alone twice. Mahomes got blown out by the Bucs in 2020, and then this year, of course, got blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, the score was 40-22, but anyone that watched that game saw that, it was 40-6 in real time, and the score for the Super Bowl this year just was not indicative of how the game really was played. So that's something to consider as well. Also, as much as I do respect the reasons that people provided for why Patrick didn't play his greatest game. Again, I think a lot of that did come down to the offensive line just not doing a great job against the Eagles D-line, which then benefits the rest of the Eagles defense, because if you're getting pressure, it's just easier for every single player on the defense with the linebackers in the secondary, because it's just, you have less time to cover and it's harder for the offense to get things going. But at the same time, the Chiefs just did not do what they needed to do up front. And that also goes up to Patrick as well. I felt like he just looked off even from the beginning of the game. He had that missed throw to Kelce. I think it was on a second down. I think it was on their first drive. It was their first or second drive. He kind of threw it a little bit behind him. Was not Patrick's greatest ball. He was taking a couple sacks. Now, again, I don't think that was all on him, but at the same time, maybe you got to try to get rid of the ball a little quicker. Number 3, that interception to DeJean was one of the worst plays I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes make. He got baited by Zach Bond, who decided to shadow that running back, and he just didn't see DeJean. DeJean was just playing there, and obviously DeJean takes it all the way to the crib. I think Patrick was feeling a lot of pressure in that moment. It was 10-0. And, of course, the 2 plays leading up to that to make it a 3rd and 16 was the 2 sacks that he took back-to-back. So I think he was really feeling it, and maybe he just let his guard down and he forced a throw. Regardless, it's not something you can defend. It was not a great play. And, of course, it ended up hurting the team a lot. That play resulted in a touchdown, and that's really where I feel like momentum fully switched over to the Eagles' side. Not saying that the Eagles weren't already dominating, but when you throw a pick six to make it 17-0 in the second quarter in the Super Bowl, it's really hard to come back from that mentally. So I have to give a lot of credit to that Eagles defense. I think that does have to go on Pat, because that play really was just, you can't defend that play. The Zach Bond interception, I think it's probably about a 50-50 on both Mahomes and on the offensive lineman struggling. Again, maybe Mahomes had to get rid of the ball earlier, and he could have thrown the ball to someone else. And again, the offensive line could have, tried to do a little bit better of a job of blocking and not get pushed into him. But at the same time, he still threw the interception. I don't think it was necessarily all on him, but he still did end up throwing that ball. I can't take away an interception from him. So that was another one that's going to go against Mahomes. And that fumble even, yes, the game wasn't really close at that point, but you can't lose the ball there. I know he was getting absolutely killed and he got destroyed on that play, but again, you can't lose the ball there. And this really all goes back to, again, what I said about Brady. Brady lost 3 Super Bowls, and he lost 3 Super Bowls to teams that arguably weren't as good as his. But at the same time, Brady did not turn the ball over as much as Mahomes did, and Brady never played like that, nor was Brady ever blown out in a situation like that. So I think that's really something to consider, and just overall, Pat's performance was just not good enough in the biggest game of his career out to this point to go for a three-peat, to come out like that. Yes, I know the rest of the team didn't perform either, but he's got to be better in that situation. My final verdict is that it's almost kind of picking both sides, but I think, of course, this game impacts Patrick Mahomes' legacy. He's now one of the few quarterbacks that's lost twice in the Super Bowl. Of course, again, he still has 3 freaking rings, so I'm not going to kill him for it, but at the same time, he's gotten blown out twice in the Super Bowl. I don't think 2020 is really his fault at all, just because that offensive line really was just so bad. But I really do think that his performance was not great in Super Bowl 59. He was missing throws, rushing throws, of course, again, getting baited by DeJean on the pick six. There was a lot that he just didn't do well in that game in Super Bowl 59. I think long-term, if Mahomes wins a few more Super Bowls, I think he'll be fine. And even let's say Mahomes was to retire tomorrow for some reason, I still think he would have a phenomenal career, and I think you could say he's the second best quarterback of all time. But I do think that this one is going to put a little bit of a stain on his potential GOAT legacy, just because, again, he got blown out. It's the second time he's got blown out, and this isn't just the offensive line sucking this time. Like, he didn't play a great game either. So I think people are really going to hold that against him. And overall, I do think Pat will be fine, though. I think he'll be back in these situations. But I am curious, this is more just for the audience. How do you guys feel that this impacts him? Again, I don't think it's something that is going to kill him long term. But at the same time, it's one of those blemishes on his resume that you just can't ignore because of how bad and how ugly that game was from him and the rest of his team. So I'm just curious, does this impact his GOAT legacy? Is he still the GOAT in your eyes? Can he be the GOAT after this performance? And just overall, does this impact his legacy long term? Because at the end of the day, he's been to now 5 Super Bowls and he's won 3. And yes, he's lost 2, but still, winning 3 Super Bowls is nuts. You can't take that away from him. You never can. So I'm just curious what people think. And I just wanted to provide both reasons why people will be saying both things. And yeah, that's really all I had for today's video. If you watched to this point of the video, I really, really appreciate it. I apologize for the lack of uploads. This last week has been really busy, and I do continue having another busy week. But I'm going to hopefully try to have this out by Wednesday or Thursday. I'm recording this on a Tuesday night. So we'll see. Trust me, I have a lot more content planned. I've just been really busy with my normal life. But regardless, if you're watching at this point, I really do appreciate it. And I said in the beginning of the video, but if you can give this video a like, comment, subscribe, share it, anything, really, really would mean a lot to me. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.